Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is raising serious concerns, and they go way beyond one protest or one state. During a recent discussion about rapid response efforts in Minnesota, Omar addressed growing frustration from residents who feel local police and sheriffs are either unwilling or unable to protect vulnerable communities. One suggestion: recreate something like a Minnesota State Guard to serve as a rapid response force. But here's where it gets interesting.
So in light of the police and sheriff's inability or unwillingness to help us, I'm wondering if you were interested in pulling something from the past, the Minnesota State Guard, to act as rapid response, to create a foundation of defense for us. Because I'm looking at Schumer, Jeffries, and they can't or won't. But that might be a way to legitimize all the hard work I see around myself every day when I do rapid response.
We'll check in with the Minnesota legislators on this.
Yeah, the National Guard is a state agency, so it.
Back from 1941 to 1948, we had a Minnesota State Guard that was under the governor and not underneath those other things.
Sure, it's a little before my time, but we do have a National Guard right now. The governor has readied them. I know he did that a while ago, and the thinking was by doing that, he makes it so that the president cannot take advantage of Minnesota's National Guard. I don't whether or not that's the best system. If we should look at like recreating some sort of a state guard.
What I'm talking about is minimizing the action of our citizenry, so that when we do something, it's not just me by myself, disconnected on a signal chat with 1,000 other people. It has the backing of the state, and it has legitimacy to it. Like right now, why is it that we are organizing all of the rapid response groups without any assistance from the government at all? It's my friend, who I climb with weekly, who spends 2 hours every night after work being dispatched. Why is that his job? Why don't we have backing from our representatives and from our state?
No, yeah, we should. I'm on those rapid responses chats, signal chats as well. I've been to Whipple to retrieve a constituent who's been letting go. I mean, the people I've seen there, the Haven Watch people at Whipple who welcome back people who are getting released there are just doing incredible work. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but if there's such a thing as a saint, those people are saints who are doing that sort of work. And the people, just what I've seen from my neighbors, people I don't even know, people with silly, names like Seinfeld references on signal chats and Simpsons references has just been incredible. If there is some way to legitimize them through the government, I'm certainly open to looking how we could do that. But it shouldn't be up to ordinary citizens to do this kind of work. But at the same time, we have seen just incredible things from our neighbors, and anything we can do to support that work, I fully support.
I mean, in one place, there's a problem in that when you have local and state law enforcement and the federal law enforcement, what I know that our governor and many mayors and police chiefs have been thinking about, because we've been part of these conversations, is that how do you avoid a clash between them? And even when the National Guard was sent to Whipple to just make sure things didn't get out of hand, they ended up working with the federal law enforcement in detaining people. And then you have people that are upset about that because, again, their mission is aligned, right? And so, my problem in wanting, because there hasn't been an incident in which you have local law enforcement, maybe one in Minnesota, where you have local law enforcement or state show up where they haven't then contributed to the harming the people who are out there, very upset about what's happening to their neighbors and what's happening to their country. There's that one case where the police chief knew the husband of an observer, and when she was taken, her husband was able to call, and that police chief was able to make sure when they came, before they took her to Whipple, when they came to the police station to ask if he can take her home. And so it's challenging because they play on the same team. So that's been the bigger problem.
Omar acknowledged that the Minnesota National Guard is already active and that Governor Tim Walz had previously readied them in a way designed to prevent federal takeover. Yet, When the National Guard was deployed to Whipple, something happened that alarmed advocates. According to Omar, instead of acting independently, they ended up coordinating with federal law enforcement in detaining people. And that's when she said the line that's now getting attention. They play on the same team. Her point. When local law enforcement, state forces, and federal agents align operationally, it creates a serious dilemma. Communities who believe they're calling for protection may instead see cooperation that leads to detainment, not defense. Omar also highlighted the emotional toll this is taking. Ordinary citizens, neighbors, volunteers, even people organizing on signal chats are stepping up to do rapid response work on their own. And she asked a fundamental question. Why is this falling on private citizens instead of the government? At the heart of this conversation is something bigger than Minnesota. It's about SUDI federal versus state authority. See Law Enforcement Alignment 10 Community Trustee, and what happens when protest response becomes blurred with federal enforcement. Priorities Omar isn't calling for chaos. She's questioning accountability because if state and local forces automatically align with federal enforcement, even in controversial detentions, then what checks actually exist? And that's the real debate. Not just whether to create a state guard, but whether communities can trust the systems meant to protect them. This isn't about partisan outrage. It's about structure, power, and who law enforcement ultimately answers to. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should states create independent rapid response forces? Or is reforming existing law enforcement the real solution? And as always, follow Capital Blue for fact-based political analysis that cuts through the shoe skull noise.